Walked down the aisle 25 years ago, just to do it again 15 years ago. 2 years later, we had a son, going through life on the run. Twins popped out, it's 2 to 3. Zone defense, it'll have to be. Wanted a girl, but got 2 more. A boy and a girl to finish the core. Hectic gnaw, a piece of heaven. This is us, the Brandon 7.
Hi there, it's Toshiba again with the Brandon 7 Homeschooling. Welcome back to my channel. So today I just wanted to take the opportunity to let you know what comes in the 4th grade Abeka Academy package. So you'll get CDs and a load of books, and every subject is included. And since this was our first year homeschooling, we decided to go with a full box curriculum. Of course, throughout the research that I've done throughout this year, we decided like halfway through that it was not working out for our 4th grader, and we switched to different curricula that fit him more specifically in his learning style. And he has a tad bit of dyslexia. I say a tad bit because he hasn't been officially diagnosed with dyslexia, but we have done extensive research, I should say, and we did have him tested with the local school district for learning disabilities of all sorts, and he came back free and clear of all of those. And so all that we could kind of disqualify that as is dyslexia. And I've done tons of studies, I've read tons of studies, I should say, on the Barton method and the Orton-Gillingham method, and that's what we've changed to for his spelling curricula. So like I said, I'll show you what we got in the 4th grade package, and then I'll show you what we changed to mid-year. So we're right around mid-year right now. We changed him a little bit before Christmas. So I'll introduce you to, like I said, the 4th grade stuff that we started with and what we changed to, and what we really, really love, what we really did not love, or at least I liked but did not work for him. And so, like I said, I am new to the YouTube world, but I do want to give, some alternative views of what we thought of Abeka, because in all actuality, we really love Abeka for our 1st and 2nd graders, but it did not work out well for my 4th grader as he had some challenges. But we probably will use it again for our 2nd graders for next year. Probably not the 3rd grade, because I think where Abeka stands the strongest is K4, even preschool, all the way to about 2nd, 3rd grade-ish. In 4th grade, it kind of jumps up a whole grade, where it went from phonics to you're in the real world, little people. And that works well for my other children, but for my 4th grader, who was already struggling a little bit towards the end of 3rd grade, did not work well for him. He does Abeka Science and History. He loves Abeka Science and History, so we'll probably continue that next year. He likes the videos. He likes the rote memorization of the facts, because it's really not rote, because he actually remembers all of this stuff for the tests and for the quizzes. I do give him second chances on a lot of things because it is homeschool, so if he doesn't get it right the first time, I'll give him a second chance to get it right, but he doesn't get full points for that. So not all of Abeka was terrible, it's just the language was a little too fast for him, the language arts, I should say, and the math, no, we were really behind in math from 3rd grade, and so what we've done is kind of go back over the things like multiplication and addition facts so that he could be ready for 4th grade. So we moved on to teaching textbooks, but you'll see that later on in the video. Thanks for visiting my channel. As a new homeschool YouTuber, it's kind of weird. This will be my first time even editing a video, so I have no idea how that's going to work out. I'm actually filming this from the MacBook Pro as opposed to the cell phone, and then I'll try it on the GoPro, which I'm sure will be the best one. But I'm trying different things to see what's more comfortable for me, because I do like hands-free, as you can see. You probably can't see because of the angle of the camera, but I use my hands a whole lot to talk, so I want to make sure that I can show you all the materials that I have. We'll see, but thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it, and if you have any questions, not that I have a whole lot of answers other than on the curricula that we've already used, but if you have any suggestions of what you use for your son, or I have 4 sons, so on your son, if they were struggling with a tad bit of dyslexia, which I guess is called mild, it's probably not called a tad bit, but for us, it's not difficult for him to read. He's an excellent reader. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, we appreciate it, and leave any suggestions that you have for students struggling with that, especially in the area of vocabulary, because we do have some vocabulary that we are using, but I would love some suggestions for 5th grade and how to best help our 4th grader do his best in school this year. So here is a glimpse. Prepare yourself. I'm not even sure how long this video is going to be, but here is what you get if it's your first year homeschooling and you have a 4th grader and you're using Abeka Academy. So the first thing you'll get is, of course, it's like left to my side because it's the first thing that I need. Oh, where's the book? Okay, so the first thing you'll get is a huge box, and this is what you'll see. You'll see Homeschool Grade 4 video manual. And so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see, so I don't have to give you a picture on my own, if you can see that, is of all the books that you get. So when you first open the box, it's going to be really overwhelming. It'll probably come in multiple boxes. Mine came in 2, I think it was, and then there's like a red list of everything. So then you'll do, if I were you and going to order it early, I would order it at least 1 month in advance. I mean, most people are ordering right now, as I'm learning, for their next homeschool year, and I ordered this stuff in September, so we were already behind. Not that I needed to be in line with what public school was doing, but we were even with Christian school, and we started like a month or so behind. So I ordered it, and then we started school the following week. No bueno, not something that I would suggest doing, but we decided to homeschool in May, and it took me the entire summer to do research because I wanted to be sure, and after like 3 months of research, I decided to go with the boxed curriculum. Even after watching all of your homeschool videos, because all I did was watch Homeschool Moms videos, even after watching that, I still ordered a boxed curriculum because I was scared out of my mind. So anyway, this is what you get, so you'll see. And so I'll show you all the books right now, but I just want you to get an idea of what you do. So like I said, if you're going to order, then you're going to have to do what I did, like go through, tab every section. You don't have to create your own lesson plans, but there are some extra things that aren't listed in the video. So you want to make sure that if you order, like if I just look at this package, so I'll just go through the subjects looking at this. There's the homeschool video manual, then there's arithmetic 4, there's art 4, there's history, which is United States history, and then you do the state at the end of the year. Then there's language A 4 for 4th grade. There's penmanship, there's spelling, there's reading, there's science, and there's health. And then there's 2, 4, 6, 7 reading books that come along with the curricula. So it is complete. There is nothing else that you need to add to this, again, unless you're struggling or your child is struggling, which for me, I was struggling a little bit more than he was because I was going by every lesson plan day after day after day in the beginning, which was really difficult. I would not suggest doing that. Like I said, get it at least a month in advance so that you can prepare yourself for what you want your child to do. So anyway, this is the book that you get that will be like the Bible of your homeschool curricula. Then you will get CDs. And so this is the second box. Here's the third box. I haven't even opened it yet. And the first one is by his laptop. And so you do need to have, I mean, I'm sure you know this, but this is like DVD, CD-ROM video. So not really CD-ROM, but it's more video. So I have the Mac, and so everything works well on that. But I bought him, or my mom bought him, a Dell computer, and something about the newest Dells that they're selling that it does not have a player naturally installed. So we bought like a separate one, like old school, like we bought a separate CD-ROM, like a drive, so that he could watch the videos because it did not play on his. Long story. Anyway, I would say use a computer that already has a player, an actual player to play this, so that you don't have to watch it on the television and we all have to listen to it. So those are the first things. And so once you hit play on that, it'll start at Bible and it'll go all the way down. And here's where it all went wrong for us. So Bible, language, and math are the longest videos. So they give you an order that they suggest that you do it in. If you do it in that order from Bible all the way down to history and science, it will take you a complete 8 hours to complete that. I mean, with all the breaks, because you're going to need breaks, because some of the most difficult subjects for us are language and math, which are the longest ones. Bible was great. I actually really love the Bible curricula. They go over the scripture. The scriptures become ridiculously long. So I have first graders and I have second graders. And so their scriptures are about, I don't know, 6 passages long, where Dave's was, his very first one was Isaiah 1 through 6. And Isaiah is super long. I think it was 53 verses 1 through 6. And it's the longest scripture that he ever had. And he totally memorized it within like 2 weeks. So I was impressed. So I would say if you order it, make them watch it, because watching it, it is rote memorization in that sense, where if I ask him now, he can remember because he hasn't moved very quickly along in the videos. But my first and second graders, they're grasping at straws a little on the ones that they memorize. So it's good for memorization, but it's something that you have to go over and actually explain the scriptures to them, because the scriptures that they memorize don't coincide with the stories that they're telling, which is the only drawback. I wish that the scripture and the Bible lesson, those are my kids, I wish the scripture and the Bible lesson coincided. So they might be learning about what happened in Isaiah, but then their scripture they might be memorizing a scripture from Isaiah, but then they'll be learning about Moses. And I'm like, wait, what? For kids that age, I think it'd be better if whatever memorization verse they had, that would coincide with the story, because Addison and Dawson were on the coat of many colors, and then they were like, I know that's Joseph, but I thought we were talking about Jesus. So they were a little confused because the stories and the scriptures don't match. But anyway, so you get all that stuff. I'll just give you a glimpse of what it's like and feel as overwhelming as I did. So here is what the Penmanship book looks like. Did not love that. I'll open it up so you can see. You really have to tear these pages out. We did not. I kind of, had some tracing paper for him to do it. The second grade and first grade penmanship is a lot better. The explanations are wonderful, but by fourth grade, they're actually expecting them to be self-sufficient. We did not enjoy this book. We only used it about the first quarter of the way, and then I actually started letting him use the second grade book with my the later passages of my second grader's book. It wasn't great. Spelling and vocabulary. It's a very small book. Also, we did not love it. He's not a very good speller. Which is, this dyslexia part, he's still working on phonics, and Abeka doesn't do phonics after third grade. So this is what the list looked like for the second one. And the best thing about Abeka, though, is that it coincides. I just want you to see what those words look like. Pause it. The words in the spelling lesson coincide with history and coincide with every other thing that they're learning. So that's a positive. So if you have a child that's on level, and especially on this level, maybe even a grade ahead, for instance, you can see like Massachusetts. So they were learning about Massachusetts during this time, which is a great way to bring that curricula around, and make it make sense in real life. But it was difficult for him to spell Massachusetts, seeing as he doesn't know the rules of spelling. So anyway, we changed that. Another thing that's in the spelling book you'll see is the poetry. I actually do like the poetry. My kids never had poetry before, but you can see the sandpiper. Dave learned the sandpiper really well. He's really good at memorizing things, which I guess is a skill of dyslexics. Like, some things are really, really good at, and some things are unexplainable, but I really did enjoy the poetry. I think he did too. Then you will receive, I'll show you. This is the science, Understanding God's World, and it is a Christian curricula. I mean, I'm sure that you understand that Abeka is a Christian publisher, but we really love this book. At first, I have a friend who also uses it, a couple of friends actually, who use Abeka, who they don't really care for the videos. They'd rather teach on their own. Well, my son likes to do review over and over again. So what I really love about it is the fourth grade is a new addition. So if you have a fourth grader or a first grader, and a fifth grader. I already watched all the videos on the website, so I can tell you if you have first grade, fourth grade, or fifth grade, they're a new edition. So you won't get some videos from like 10 years ago. We have a second grade version that is old, and we still don't mind. I really like Mrs. Chappell, their teacher. So anyway, fourth grade, she's an excellent science teacher. She teaches science and history, and the reason that we're ordering it next year, shout out to Abeka, is because of the history and the science teacher. We really like her. She's really thorough. She has all kinds of mnemonic devices to help them learn. I'm just holding the book up like a weirdo, but here's what the book looks like. It talks about, he loves birds and all things nature and animals, and in the beginning we talk a lot about birds and flowers. He knows a whole lot about plants and flowers, and I mean, he really loves it. Most boys, if I say, what did you learn, and he can't recall, I'm like, do I need to ask you to rewind the video? And he never wants to rewind it. However, he could if he wanted to. I probably made him rewind rewind twice, but this is mostly plants. So far we've gone through plants, birds, and trees, and we get a new bird every lesson. So right now we're starting matter, or he's already on matter, and that, but they still introduce a new bird. So they're going through the birds and the states that they coincide with. We really do love understanding God's world with them. Then there's the history of the United States, and this is what the book looks like. It's all tabbed up because, you know, he has a little bit of trouble organizing things, and so we put tabs where they are, just like anything. So I am not a lover of history. This is a very concise curriculum, I should say. We do use some other things that I didn't bring over here from his desk to insert Black history in here so that he'll have an understanding of when certain things transpired. I'm not an expert, so I don't always know, but this will, I mean, I've read tons of reviews on Abeka that don't like it because it's a little boring, but those, for instance, I think the Confessions of a Homeschooler, I think her children use Abeka curriculum just for the science and the history portion, and it's a little boring, but it is more similar to public school and private Christian school. It's very, very regular. I don't know another term, but boring to me, but he really enjoys it. I'm just glad that he can keep up with the class and remember all the names and dates. He's really good at memorizing those kinds of things. Some of his favorite parts of, they do history and geography together, so they're doing kind of like colonialism and that kind of a thing, and he's doing the Boston Tea Party. But in the geography, I know when they go through that section, I don't see the geography book like right here, or you can see this one. It comes with the geography. This is the test key, but you can see what it looks like. It helps me out because I may not always need help grading his science because I'm a science person. But for instance, they went over, here's a picture of what they did in geography. And so whenever she goes over it, you can watch a sample of the video on Abeka's website, but I love that when she gets over here, she always goes Canada, United States, Mexico. And the way her voice is, I know it sounds weird, but if you just hear the inflections of her voice, here's the map that she uses actually, and she always goes Canada, United States, Mexico. And whenever I hear Dave studying or practicing for his test, I always hear Canada, United States, Mexico. And he loves, you know, he knows all things geography. He doesn't necessarily, even at 9, understand that he's learning them for a purpose and that these are actual places. Like, even though he says Lake Erie instead of Lake Erie, I'm not even sure that he quite understands, but he doesn't forget it. And so when I show him, I bought like a blow-up globe and I showed him, and I said, you know that these are actual places, right? So sometimes him being a very literal child and having some issues processing, understanding things, sometimes it doesn't always make the connection, but he really loves the history and he really loves the science, and so we use it. With that, you'll receive the test key. This is actually his test book. All his quizzes and tests are in one. And then the test key, like I said, I use it because it's a lot of multiple choice, but the history one, I use it like a Bible because I have no idea what the answers are. I haven't taken history, and I don't watch the videos with him, so I love that it's a very independent program. Just because 2 of the sections didn't work for us, it's really independent, and I like that about it. So you'll see the test key that comes with history, and there's also the test and quizzes that come with history and science. And I even like that in the book, you know, all of us went to school, and we always had at the end of the chapter, there were some questions that you had to answer. So in history, like even if there's 3 to 5 questions, they'll still give you, you know, an answer key to that. Because sometimes he'll be like, Mom, did you know that? And I'll be like, did you answer the question? And then I won't know the answer. And like, at times he thinks I'm a genius, but I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Ask that again, especially if it's back to me and I'll find it. I like this is a nifty thing to have because, you know, sidetrack, you can see I talk a lot. But with the logic of English, sometimes when we're going over the nouns, adjectives, or article adjectives, or some things that I don't remember and I'm really good in English, they don't always put the answers in the practice, and there isn't a key to some of that, and I appreciate you, Abeka, for putting a test key, especially in history and reading. So also with the reading, you'll see there's 4 books. Now there are 6 books total, but there are 4 books that come with the reading curricula, and you can see them there. Here's the answer key, and right now we're still in Salute to Courage. We stopped halfway through. He did not enjoy the stories there, so we moved to Liberty Tree because it's more history-centered, and so he loves all things history and all things science, and so we've just changed to this one. There are also 2 other books that come with reading, and he loved these. Okay, Song of the Brook. We are already going to order. So we read one in third grade, which was the prequel to this one. I'm not sure what it was called. I'll tell you what it was called. They're in here. Secret of the Maple Tree. So we really love Secret in the Maple Tree, or Secret of the Maple Tree. And then Song of the Brook was continuing to follow the story of Hilda. And I remember the new mom from third grade, Dave really enjoyed that. And Papa, and it's of the old times, and he really enjoys it. It's I don't know if you call it historical fiction. And so we're gonna order the fifth grade one in the next few days, because he's already finished with this one. He did a little book report on it earlier. We'll go into the later of his writing deficiencies and how we had to kind of get along that, and we changed to some other writing material. However, Song of the Brook we really like it, and the fifth grade book of this, I think, I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I have no idea. I think it's like historic fiction. I'm sorry. Fifth grade is Message of the Mountain. Okay, I'm so sorry. Message of the Mountain. So if your child is struggling with history and you just want to order those three books separately, I would order Secret of the Maple Tree, Song of the Brook, and with the third one I just named that I totally forgot in the last second, Message of the Mountain. These are three books that come in a row. They start in third grade. So if your child is even in third grade, the books I don't think have jumped up significantly in terms of leveling. It's a really good story to follow. We just read one chapter a day, and he finished this book pretty quickly. He's already ready for the next one. Another thing you get with the reading is, I love these sheets, Read and Think. So these are skill sheets that are timed. Dave's issues that he has are mostly around reading comprehension. So this is a real good way to test that. They're timed. We didn't do them according to the time in the beginning. I just wanted to ease him into it, because when we did the very first 2 or 3, it didn't work out so well for us. And so I let him flip over and go back. I think they get specific instructions about reading it in the time allotted and answering it all in the same 5 minutes. So in the beginning, I can't tell, but like right now, we're on 28, and you can see where it says that this should be 4 minutes long. So at the beginning, I think the time was 6 minutes, and we were around 12 at the time. And then we're on 28, I think, right now. And so from 1 to 28. So about 1 through 5. And you do them you do some twice a week. You do some mostly twice a week. We backed up from doing them twice a week so we can get some understanding. And I think I purchased, I don't see it right now, but if I find it later on, I'll show you. But the reading, I just let him take his time. I timed him to see how long it took him, and then we kind of backtracked. And so anyway, Read and Think sheets are awesome. You can order all of these things separately. I would use these, and so I would encourage him. It took him 11 to 12 minutes in the beginning, and then he moved to 10 minutes, and then that was like a big deal. It was like, hey, you went from 12 minutes to 10 minutes. The first time he might have gotten 6 right. It's like a 60. And then I let him go back and correct it and get half the points, and I think that his ending grade might have been like an 80. And then the second time, but he still wasn't thrilled about that. Like, he's really fixated on A's, and that's the reason we took him out of traditional school, because we want to focus on what the grade is. We wanted to focus on the understanding of it. And so anyway, it took him a while, and then he really grasped onto it. And now he's actually reading these at about 5 minutes. And the time that they're asking is 4 minutes, but to go from 12 minutes getting 6 or 7 right, now the other day, I guess a couple of weeks ago, because we haven't done these this week, but I think he's about 5 or 6 minutes, and he's getting 80s and 90s. He got his first 200s in a row a few weeks before, so he's doing really well. So I'm not saying specifically this has helped, but I know the timing thing is a factor. He's a boy, he's really athletic, he plays a lot of sports, and so having there be kind of a competition against the clock has really helped him with that. And so after that's over, there is, shoot, I think I put it on his desk, but there's another reading book. Oh, here it is. Okay, no, that's not it. Okay, I'll find it later. But there's another reading book that after you're done with these sheets, because these particular sheets won't last all year, so then there's another book, okay, this isn't it, but I'm just giving you an example, that's like this, that has, you read one section, and then it's also timed, and they're all 4 minutes, I think, and then there's 6 questions in the back. And so this one is about words per minute, because it's WPM, and I have to work with him on understanding that himself. This is my husband's old work shirt. I don't know why I didn't put on like grown people clothes, but anyway. I'll show you that if I come up with it again. So, like I said, there's a huge spread, and I really like Abeka's reading. Again, it is a little bit on level and a little above for some of the words. There's a lot of history in the text, and in Salute to Courage, there's a lot of really good lessons you can learn. I remember we went back in some Aesop's, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, fable type of stories, as well as some Christian stories, but it's really good. We really enjoy it. The next thing that it comes with, we don't use, but is arithmetic. Arithmetic is for a very proficient math learner. I'm not sure the words, but we already had some deficiencies in math before this year, and Abeka has been said for years. We've had Abeka for years, and at the school that we attended and at other places too, even in daycare, and so they've always been suggested in terms of math, and mostly math. They're a year ahead in math, and this is what his book looks like for language, and so it's not really ahead in the language category. That's just the two areas that we struggle with would be mathematics and in language, in the grammar category. So anyway, like I said, these are the three things that we do not use. So out of all the things that we got, I'll put them together so that you can see. We don't use arithmetic. We will probably when he's done with the curricula that he's working on right now. And we switched over to teaching textbooks, but that's another video. But we also switched over to logic of English. We probably won't go back in here because it's a lot of like 24 things on, or for instance, 24 passages on how to do commas. It's too much for him. It's really overwhelming, and we're doing the logic of English, and we're also doing fix-it grammar simultaneously because both of them are kind of introducing 3rd through 5th graders into this, and so that's kind of what Dave needs at this point. He can't have 24 lists and then a back page to write something on. It's too much work, and it's overwhelming for him. We also don't use spelling and vocabulary. We do spelling and vocabulary with the logic of English. But again, if you had a child that was I'm not sure the way to say it, because Dave always made A's and B's when he was in Christian school. He always made really good grades, but his understanding wasn't always there, if that makes any sense. So he could do this language, but he could not do it without a lot of frustration. And the reason that we took him out of school, well, he chose to come and homeschool with my littles, is because he wanted to be able to grasp more understanding of what was going on versus just making grades. He could do well. He did well on assignments. He did okay on tests. He was an AB honor roll student. He might have made his first C in math before. I'm doing a video and you're like yelling. Please. That's Addison. Stop.
Hi, guys.
So, can you keep it down, please? Okay. So, we just decided not to use those, and I'll just show you the spread of this. Don't get overwhelmed, but it did overwhelm me in the beginning. There are speed drills that come with the arithmetic. That's when we knew on day one that we weren't going to do that. So here's all the test quizzes, keys that we did not use. There's something else that comes with this that we haven't used yet, and it's health. We're going to start health actually. We were supposed to start it today. I don't know what happened. Oh, he went to art. So he goes to an art class outside of here. That's a homeschool class. And so we're going to start health probably tomorrow because we already did the science. And so in Abeka Science, it starts from day 1 or lesson 1, and then it goes all the way to lesson 100, and then health, or lesson 131. Yeah, lesson 130. I'm sorry. And then health picks up on 131. But you don't have to do it that way. And since we're only using Abeka in history, science, reading, and now it's going to be health, I think that he can just double up on that because the other ones aren't that difficult to do. And also in history, at the end of history, I think it ends on lesson 88 or 90 or something like that, and then you do your state. And so since Abeka is in Florida and we live in Texas, we have to do Texas history. So they give you a little bit of, okay, they say it's a guide. It's not really a guide. I'm probably going to have to buy like a Texas history book, which when you're from Texas, literally everything's bigger in Texas. When you go in our history section, even at the Barnes & Noble, there's tons of Texas history books. So this is kind of like, it's a cool little notebook that they'll have to fill out. So I'll have to kind of come up with my own Texas history portion. I found a couple of books that I might like. I haven't purchased any because if you're a homeschool mom, then you know what it's like to see something one place and then to, you know, price check it over Amazon, Christian Book, and Rainbow Resources, which I still have never ordered anything from, but I always try to check. I think that's everything. Oh, I know what else I didn't tell you. Oh, but here's the language. If anybody wanted to see what the language is like I said, it would be wonderful for someone who could take a whole lot of that. So on language, we did a lot of grammatical things in the beginning. I'm gonna try to get this straight. And then there was some writing things. So we never even got to this page, but let me show you some of the other things where I meant that Dave could not, or he really didn't enjoy. So on here, as you can see, there's like, you know, I don't know what it says, think A and then think B. So this would be a typical one-day assignment. If he didn't get it or didn't understand, there was a way that we could go over it again, but because there were so many, we stopped at the quotation marks because quotation marks just kind of threw him off. He was fine with the capitalizations. He was fine. He had a difficult time with, like, there were like 5 rules of commas. Now, I'm sure we all know these rules as adults, but I don't know if we actually knew them step by step, and there were commas in a series, commas and whatever the rules were. But sometimes he would get them right so often, and then it would be so much, so he would just start to guess because it was just too much. And so I think, you know, I try not to stifle my children in their growth, but I also am learning in the patience category not to push them. And in the beginning, that was hard for me because I was just used to just kind of going a little bit more fast-paced, and to have to slow down to meet the needs of my children shouldn't be too difficult. But with this type A personality, I'm learning about all my flaws as well. So also I'm learning that the light from the homeschool room in the playroom is not really and I decided to just, you know, wear a t-shirt and be comfortable and no makeup, and I got my new braids or my twists in, and it's not working well with the shadows, but I'm not, like, you know, a photographer, so I have no idea. Anyway, I just noticed that. Another thing that I got him for the school year are these. So I had one for every subject. We don't do penmanship in this notebook anymore, but there was one for spelling. We use this one for logic of English. So I know this is redundant, but I got one for every subject. So with the Abeka, it does work well to have this because we started out with the binder kind of a system to have like a tab for everyone. I really love that, but it was too much for him. Sorry, those are that's the second set of twins, the first graders in the background playing on the stairs. Everything had a notebook. Even Dean had a notebook. Dean didn't really need a notebook, but Dean had one. I think the notebooks worked better for him because he's very compartmentalized in that he needs to have one thing for one thing. So the binder having all of that stuff was like over, I don't know if it was like sensory overload. I'm not really sure, but I really enjoyed it. He did not enjoy it. And the last thing that comes with the text or with the box of books is this. We never use this. He takes an art class. It's Art A. It's very paper oriented, and my kids really love art, and look, this is the 4th grade one, I think. Okay, hold on, this could be a 1st grade one, I'm not really sure. God bless you. God bless you. Is that fake sneezing? Okay, this could totally be the 1st grade or the 2nd grade one because either way, we never used these because they were very paper oriented. They're cute, and I'm not gonna say we never used them because you can see, okay, maybe we tore 3 pages out, but it was a lot of paper stuff, which means trash and mess, and I didn't want that, so we didn't use it. I think that's all. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I had really high hopes on using every ounce of all of these things, and that did not work out that way. And I felt a little bit like a failure, and I just, you know, I already said once, I have a type A personality. My career before this was in education sales, and so I've always worked in education, and I've always kind of worked in sales, and so the fast-paced environment shouldn't define my personality, but I think I worked in those fields because my brain kind of moves that way as well, and I always made really good grades in school, even when I didn't try very hard, which is not saying a lot about myself, but for my children, you know, you always want better for your children, so I put a lot of pressure on them because a lot of pressure was put on me as a child to do well in school, and I didn't mind it. I mean, it was just all that I knew, and so with my children, you can sense, you know, your children that some of the things were working really well for him. He's an athlete, so he's not, you know, against, or he's not trying to run away from work, but he's trying to get it done as quickly as possible. And so what homeschooling has taught us this year is that we need to slow down, all of us. Mommy needs to develop her patience, and Jesus will work his perfect work because it's not necessarily there yet, but this video is getting kind of long. I already say I'm at 29 minutes, and I had a whole different intro, so I'll try to cut out some of the chatter, and I'll try to cut out the places where I'm like super speed talking, because I do that when I'm excited. A couple of extra things that we had gotten. I started with the third one, but since we just started the halfway through the Orton-Gillingham methods, he was just doing it, but I don't know if he was grasping a quick understanding. But we have Explode the Code for all the kids, and I actually got a third, and I don't even know where the fourth grade is, but I got a third and a fourth grade one of these scholastic ones. They're really colorful, which is also sometimes sensory overload. Like sometimes it works. Like it started out there, we didn't do any of those pages, but some of the back ones we did just to have some review. Dave also loves to read, which is not a common thing with kids who have dyslexia all the time. I mean, not all kids, because who wants to generalize in that way, but he also likes these books. We have read, or he has read, Harriet Tubman. I don't see the other ones, but he's read Einstein, and he loved George Washington Carver. He likes everything George Washington Carver, so he has quite a few. He also has this one that he's trying to read, but he's like his mother, and if you can see the words, the pictures are awesome, but the words are tiny. And yeah, I'm averse to anything that's that small too. Oh, here's Einstein. And we also just picked up this from Costco. I never see level 3s and 4s reading levels, except at Barnes & Noble, but this all came in one thing for like $9, and so he's almost read all of these, and then he could read them again and again because they're really simple. These are kind of history, if you want to see what they are. The Wagon Wheels. I live in San Antonio, so I don't know if this is Josefina or Josephina. Story Quilt, The Drinking Gourd. Okay, this is Biscuit, this isn't his. And this one is for my 6-year-old, but he's loving robots, and Dave has read that one. So we have a lot of extra books and things like that for him to do. But this video has gone too long. If you're interested in 4th grade Abeka Academy, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or email me. I will be here to answer all of your questions. Actually, that thing up there is something that Dave, I think that's a 4th grade, I think that's a 4th grade comprehension book that's like randomly stuck on a shelf. But we do have quite a few extras, and I'll get on the next videos and describe for you or share with you what we switched to after we left Abeka for those other 3 subjects, and what we moved on to help Dave do his best in those areas of 4th grade. So thanks a lot for watching. This video got pretty long, but if you really are interested in having Abeka Academy, I would give it 2 thumbs up for someone who's just starting out in homeschool and doesn't have a whole lot of time to research, and you want a full, concise curriculum, but you also need to do a little bit of homework yourself and planning, and also know your child really well to know what they understand. So again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Blessings to all, and I'll see you next time. Have a blessed day.